The Eat, Drink, Explore radio network. Here now is your fabulous host, Mr. Randall White.
Well, thank you very much, and a good morning to you. We're glad you can join us at this hour as we discuss things food, beverages, and travel each and every week right here on this station, 9:33 the time. And the topic for this hour of Eat, Drink, Explore Radio, the topics are all based on something we call a compass word. And this word, the word this morning, is peak, P-E-A-K. Our segment producers were Googling themselves into a frenzy using the word peak in association with beverages when they stumbled upon Coastal Peaks Roasters located right here on the Central Coast in San Luis Obispo. Now, this coffee company uses fair trade, which we will discuss and explain further, organic beans, and gives a portion of their online sales to various charities. All very cool things that we like. So they made a natural fit for the show this morning. Mike Knight is the founder of Central Coast Roasters, and when I was talking to him on the phone, he says, I've never been called a founder before. But that's what you are, Mike, and welcome to Eat, Drink, Explore Radio. How are you?
Thank you very much for having me, Randall, and Miss Patty, and I'm enjoying being here. And yes, I've never been called a founder before, but I'm the guy.
How'd you get into the coffee business? What made you make that switch?
I worked for another company for a period of time. I thought I could do it better myself, so I opened or started doing my own business, or started my business in 1989.
1989?
Yeah.
And that was in San Luis?
Grover Beach, actually.
In Grover Beach?
Yeah, I distributed for another local roaster, and then 6 years ago I purchased a competitor who was moving and started roasting myself.
So you're expanding.
Yeah.
And you just opened up a new cafe, which is on South Higuera.
Yes, it's right in front of the roaster, right just south of Prado Road.
So you can smell it then if you get there at the right time when you're doing the roasting of the beans.
You can. If you stand downwind of us when we're roasting, you can smell coffee.
That's such a fantastic smell, and you smell it more and more nowadays in a lot of U.S. cities because the micro-roasting boom has really taken off. And you
certainly has.
And you're sort of riding that wave. I imagine you know a lot of people in the industry. If it's anything like coffee, if it's anything like beer and wine, everyone sort of shares ideas with each other. And so, why do you think micro roasting has become such a big deal?
Well, people are looking just like beer and wine. They're looking for the best that they can possibly get. So it's completely different what their grandmothers or grandfathers were drinking back in their day.
And they love to know that it's made, within arm's reach.
It is, and we're actually the only coffee roaster in the city of San Luis Obispo, but there are several other roasters within the county itself.
And so when you walk into your favorite coffee place and you order a blend, and they always ask you, well, which blend would you like? And I always think, oh, gosh, I don't know. You'll see sometimes there's a dark roast, sometimes there's a medium bodied, and you're starting to see more and more blondes or lighter roasts. Is it just the amount of time that it's kept cooking?
Yes, it is. General roast, and we roast about 45 pounds of green coffee at a time. It takes between 17 and 19 minutes per roast. The more time, the darker the roast that you will get on there. If it's a single bean, it's a single varietal. If it's a blend, it's two or more.
And it changes more than just the taste, right? There are
the characteristics of that particular varietal itself.
There's chemical things that are happening within the bean that changes the amount of caffeine you can absorb as well, right?
Yes, that does happen like that. There are two species of coffee trees. There's Robusta and there's Arabica, which we roast, and that's grown at higher elevations. Better tasting, has more body to it than what we'd call the commercial grade coffees.
And that's primarily grown in South America?
Well, no. Actually, it grows along the equator from Cancer to Capricorn. Central America, South America, Indonesia, and Africa
are the areas where they grow Arabica beans.
Yes.
And Robusta is what's the
also
difference?
Grown in the same area.
Okay, what's the difference character-wise between those beans?
Well, Robusta is mainly what you'd find in the commercial grade coffees. It does have more caffeine.
Oh.
The higher soil, climate, and elevation are the three determining factors in the characteristics of that particular varietal.
And then you can blend them any way you want, right? You don't have
Yes,
to
you
have
can.
100% of one or the other.
You do not. In fact, that's what we specialize in, is creating a blend for a particular restaurant or retail.
Now, those of you listening in the San Luis Obispo area will be familiar with some of the restaurants serving Coastal Peaks Roasters coffee. One of my favorites, as a matter of fact, which is Big Sky Cafe.
Yes.
Also Novo. Actually, two of my
Novo.
favorite restaurants.
There you go.
Absolutely. You've managed to get into some of the good ones here in town.
We do. We have Luna Red, Cafe Roma, Froggy's, Splash. We have a lot of the local restaurants. And we go as far south as Solvang.
You go as far, how about north?
North, up the coast to Cambria and inland to Paso.
No, nothing up in like Monterey, Santa Cruz.
It's all delivered weekly, so we like to keep the driving time hopefully to a minimum.
But you do ship because you've got online business.
You can go online and purchase it.
And where you've teamed up with some charities, and is it 20% of online sales?
Yes, it is.
20% of online sales currently go where?
Right now, it's Fisher House is one of our main charities, and that is it's similar to McDonald's house, but for the military families who have an injured shoulder, a soldier, and the families can actually stay in this housing free of charge.
Are there any others?
Oh, no, that's our main one.
That's the main one right now. Okay, so on your website, which you self-admittedly said the other day needs a little bit of updating.
It does.
But
we don't get on it too often.
I couldn't tell. So you do. So let's give people that are listening right now, no matter where they're buying their beans, there are some ways they can treat the beans that will give them the best flavor in their cup, correct?
There is. First of all, when you buy your beans, you never want to keep it for more than 4 weeks. 4 weeks is a stale date.
That's top.
Yes, it is. Now, storage. You want to keep it in an airtight container in your cupboard. You do not want to put it in your refrigerator or your freezer.
I wish we had a buzzer sound right now because there's so many people looking at their radio or watching online, however they're doing it, going, what? I've been putting it in the freezer and refrigerator for years. Why is that?
Well, if you store it in the freezer, the moisture in that bean will crystallize and it'll affect the taste of that particular coffee. And if you're storing it in the refrigerator next to an onion, it's going to absorb that onion.
Oh, I never thought of that. Patty just got a horrible look on her face because A, I know she uses a lot of onions, and B, she keeps it in her refrigerator. So Patty, stop it. Now, in terms of making it, I have an automatic brewer. I grind it the night before. I put it in there. It starts brewing while I'm sleeping, so I can get up to my coffee.
That's fine.
That's fine doing it that way?
Yes.
But some people insist on using a French press.
You can use a French press, and we have at the cafe, you can select a French press if you'd like. I don't particularly like it. I like my coffee just a little bit hotter, but French press is a great way to go. We also have...
that's where you literally like push the water through the beans, right?
After it is absorbed the coffee, you can press it down and consume it right at that time.
I just went to a place called Coffeetopia, which is it's in Santa Cruz. Darn, I can't think of the name of the street, but it starts with a P. Ricardo, do you know it?
Portola.
Portola. And they do where they pour it over the beans.
Yes, we do that.
And you do that too. I'm seeing that in more and more places.
You will. If you go up to San Francisco, that's just about all they do in a specialty coffee shop, and we have that as well here.
Blue Bottle Coffee up there, have you had theirs?
Just was there last weekend.
It is so delicious. We did a video piece on theirs that we haven't put together yet, but I got to do
I like to check out our competitors.
Of course, And when I was in the brewing industry, I checked out the competitors as often as I could.
Absolutely. Got a sample.
That's right. But it was fun. They're at their location near Jack London Square. I sat there every morning. They do where they take a spoon of it and go, and
that's a cupping.
A cupping. That's what it was called, and it was fun. I learned a lot through that process. Okay, so now let's talk fair trade.
Okay,
I am the type. I spend a little bit more when I'm shopping because I feel better about it. Why do I feel better about it? What is the whole fair trade process?
Well, it's an organization that actually was developed to help the families that are growing that particular coffee. Most of the economies are grown in third world economies along the equator there. So any way that we can help them, they can. And they provide not just growing assistance, but educational benefits for their children as well.
Good education.
So you're going to pay a little bit more, which we pay a little bit more for that coffee as well.
Right. And so education, housing in some cases,
yes,
right?
Yes.
And so you know that they're not getting a nickel a day or whatever it might be. Who checks on that? Who makes sure? When I buy fair trade, how do I know it was really
well? That
done?
Organization, it is their responsibility to go down there and check, just to make sure that money's going to the right places and what have you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now there are a number of fruits and vegetables on a list called the Dirty Dozen when you're considering buying organic. Strawberries are among them. Apples are on the list. You really want to choose organic. There's also something called the Clean 15, which are 15 that, if it's between organic and not organic, you're not so bad going with the conventional growing. Where does coffee fall in terms of organic? Is it like a heavily pesticide? Does it need a lot of pesticides to grow? Where is it?
Well, if it's organic, they're not going to use any type of herbicides or pesticides. So the growing areas are free of anything that they're going to introduce into that might taint that particular coffee. So if it's organic, it has to be labeled organic, and it has to be inspected to make sure that they'll test the soil and they'll test the fruit itself, and they'll make sure that there has been no pesticides used in the ground or on the trees themselves. So, and
you sell blends of both fair trade,
we do, and conventional and
organic.
Yes.
So you can get anything you like. Mike Knight, he is the founder of Coastal Peaks Roasters, and your website, we of course provide a link at eatdrinkexplore.com, but it's Coastal Peaks Roasters, as you might imagine.com. It's that easy. Mike, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.